All right. In this video, I'm going to cover the last part of the notes, the task, 2.5 task. And in the 2.5 task, some of us, we started this, but we're going to go ahead and I'm going to continue this where we have to complete the square. So we divide out A, move C. So x squared plus 7x plus something, and then 10 minus something. And no matter what we do, and we'll see as we move on to question 7 here how we have to go through this process, we always go through divide A, move C, divide A, move C. Well, what you'll notice in this is 7 is an odd number. Okay, so 7's an odd number. What does that do? Well, it makes this a decimal. Leave it as a decimal. 49 over 4. Okay, leave it. Don't convert it to a decimal. Leave it as improper, because it's going to be so much easier when we convert back to standard form, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then we rewrite it as a perfect square. Well, I'm really adding 49 over 4 because I have to square 7 halves. If I'm really adding 49 over 4, I have to subtract 49 over 4. And when we do that, we get x plus 7 halves. Remember the plus sign, plus. 7 halves, what I divide 2 by, well, keep it an odd number, okay? Or divide 2 by that odd number. And then what about 10 minus 49 halves? Well, I have to take this 10 over 1, 49 fourths, excuse me, not halves. I have to take 10 over 1 and subtract 49 over 4. Well, I need to convert that 10 over 1 to something over 4. That's probably horrible, and you probably can't see that. That one marker has to disappear too. So 49, 4 over 4. This becomes 40 over 4 minus 49 over 4, or negative 9 fourths. So when we convert, that's what we get. Well, is that reasonable? Well, remember, if this middle term's odd, this last C value is going to be a decimal. Okay, if I did this right, just like the previous term, I should be able to convert back to this. So x plus 7 halves squared is x plus 7 halves times x plus 7 halves minus 9 fourths. And watch, this is going to turn into 10, these middle two are going to turn into 7, and everything should be great. Well, x times x is x squared. 7 halves times x is plus 7 halves x. 7 halves times x is plus 7 halves x. And then we're going to multiply these last two. 7 halves times 7 halves is 49 over 4. Right? We're going to multiply them. Combine your middle two terms. You get x squared. What's 7 halves plus 7 halves? Oh, that's 14 over 2. What's 14 over 2? 14 over 2 is 7. So you get plus 7x, which is what we have. And then we have this 49 over 4 minus 9 over 4. Well, 49 minus 9 is 40 over 4, which is the same thing as 10, so plus 10. All right? So yes, we did do this correctly. Same thing happens over in question 6. 5 divided by 2 squared. Okay, the only problem that we should have is this 3 right here. Well, I goofed. How'd I goof? Didn't divide 1 and move C. So x squared minus 5x plus something, 3 minus something. 5 divided by 2 squared is 25 over 4. So that's what goes in the blank. 25 over 4. How much am I really adding? 25 over 4. How much do I subtract? 25 over 4. So if I'm going to convert this, I get y equals x minus, not 25 over 4, but 5 halves squared, and then 3 over 1 minus 25 over 4. Come on, convert it to fourths. Multiply by 4 over 4, so you get 12 over 4 minus 25 over 4. What's 12 minus 25? Well, it's going to be a negative number, and 12 and 12 is 24, so 13 over 4. 12 and 13 is 25, so there you go. How about this one? This is really going to throw you for a loop, but watch what happens. We divide A and move C. So x squared minus x plus something minus 5. This is where it's going to get pretty crazy. What value is right here? A value right there is 1. Okay, so I'm going to take 1 and divide it by 2 and square. Remember, if this is an odd number, it just makes this last portion a decimal. So I've got to square everything so it becomes 1/4. Okay, so 1/4 is what goes in the blank. Right? Take half of 1. You got to remember to take half of it. Y equals x, is it plus or minus? In this case, it's negative. Whatever I cut in half, well, gee, 1/2. I'm really adding 1/4, so I subtract 1/4. So this becomes, hey, the terms are the same, sign-wise, so minus 5 and 1/4, or 21, because 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21/4, and that would be negative. So here is your problem there. All right. Now, not the last thing we may look at, but what we're going to look at. This is a big, huge thing, and I apologize for a long video, but when you're not in class, okay, I want to make sure I give you the same as what you would have in class, most of it. So we got to take question 7. This is kind of a big one. We're going to take this one, and we're going to apply the processes that we learned over here and we've been learning. I'm going to divide A and move C, because I need to know all this information to be able to graph it. The only thing I can get out of standard form is that my y-intercept is C, or 17. So 0 and 17, that's my y-intercept. I know that A is stretch or shrink. So remember, if it's 2, it should stretch. If it's less than that, it's going to shrink. This A value is 2. So what's going to happen? We'll convert it. I divide 2 out of the first 2 terms. So I get x squared minus 6x plus something, and 17 minus something. This middle term is even, yay me. So 6 divided by 2, and I'm going to try and write large enough so you can see it. 6 divided by 2 squared is 3 squared, which is equal to 9. So 9 is what makes this a perfect square. Now here's where the arrows pay off. Remember, the parentheses represent one diagram in my entire model. I have 2 of them. So how much am I really adding? I'm really adding 9 times 2, which is 18. So I have to subtract 18. So now when you rewrite your problem in a different form, y equals, my a value is a no matter what form, x plus or minus. Go back to your original problem. The sign in between the first 2 is negative, so it's negative. X minus 3 squared. 17 minus 18 is negative 1. The only thing I would have got out of standard form is 17, which is somewhere up in here, and that my graph is skinnier together. Here, when I convert it, I get all this information for my vertex. So, positive 3, negative 1. There's my vertex. Remember, if it's x minus, it shifts to the right. So, come over to your graph. Positive 3, negative 1. There's my vertex. Axis of symmetry. Remember, it's the same, so x equals positive 3. Those two end up being the same. So right here, here's my axis of symmetry. Minimum or maximum? Well, gee, A is positive, it's opening up, so it's going to be a minimum. Now, here's one of the big keys today. My pattern. What is my pattern? A is 2, so my pattern is multiplied by 2. That 149 is multiplied by 2. So my outputs are going to double. These numbers are going to double. 2, 8, and 18. All right, so how do I graph that? Well, I graph that pretty easy. I come over and start at my vertex. If I go right 1, instead of going up 1, I go up 2. So right 1, up 2. right 2, instead of up 4, it's up 8. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Instead of going right 3 and up 9, I go right 3 and up 18, which is going to be way up here. It's just off my graph. Now I mirror that on the other side. Left 1, up 2. Left 2, up 8. Left 3, up 18. That should make sense because I went 1 unit below the x-axis, and look at where my y-intercept was. That would put me at 17. This up here would be 17. So there is my parabola. Again, my focal point is this pattern right here. All right? Now, the other thing is a little bit challenging. And we're going to start this, and I'm going to see if you can kind of catch on. Okay? You'll be able to catch the first part of this. So, divide A. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to wait on this. Yeah, I think I'm going to wait on this. We know that it's half, so it should stretch like this, but I'm going to wait on this. We'll come back. Maybe we'll hit this a little bit later. All right? Ask questions, please, please, please.